Hi. Hello.
Alright guys, today's the day. Should record in the bathroom. Five Nights at Freddy's movie today. Been a long time coming for this. Very excited, very excited. As you can see, I got all fitted up. People picking me up soon when I go see this. I was gonna do a long intro and talk about predictions and stuff, but it's like, let's just get to it. Let's just get to the movie. I'll give my thoughts after and we'll wrap up Fnaf week. I'm gonna watch this 5 fucking times. Like, it's, oh my god, I'm excited. I'm also nervous because, again, I've been waiting so long. Sorry about the poor recording. I've just got in the bathroom right now. Just got ready. The next thing you'll see is me probably getting in the car on our way to the theater, so I'll be back in just a minute. Fnaf at Freddy's, that's where I want to be. All right, they're here. Let's see what's up. What's up, guys? How we doing? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go see the shit. So, guys, what do you think? We all excited? We all excited or what? Yeah. Yeah, we're all excited. I figured, like, I did see pretty unfortunate spoiler. I feel like you guys should just know. I'm gonna tear up just thinking about it. They cut out the sex scene.
What the fuck? Bro! Dude,
That's
are you
what
fucking kidding? I will stop this fucking car right now.
Turn it around!
I'm gonna murder 5 children.
All right, guys. So before we go into the theater, I want to just get you guys caught up on everything. So we still have some time before it starts. So in 1975, William Afton and Henry Emily began Fredbear's Family Diner with the intention to have a nice family pizzeria. But this, I'll wait. So like I was saying, in 1975, William Afton and Henry Emily started Fredbear's Family. We're watching the trailers right now.
We're at a film. We're the film.
Shut up.
Actually.
What do you got here?
Might take a while.
Carter, what do you think here? What your thoughts? Your thoughts? Go ahead. Thank you. All right. Next thing you're gonna see is my first reaction after the movie.
What did you put inside of me?
I cannot believe it's here. It's really, really weird. All right. Be back in just one moment.
I'm gonna pretend like I'm asleep.
How?
Get this $6 water.
My legs are shaking. That was the best movie ever.
What? All right, I cried. I have one thing to say about the Fnaf movie. I'll just write it down here. Let's see. I gotta take a piss. Wow, it has been a while since I recorded that. It was exactly 2 months ago that we filmed the footage you just saw, where we went and saw the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It took a while to get around to filming this part, but I'm doing it now. I'm hoping to get this out tonight or tomorrow. So I'm just gonna kind of go off of, you know, my heart and just kind of talk about this movie and why it was so special to me. So I'll give you a little history lesson. So you sit in your seats and grab some fucking popcorn, grab a pen and paper, and start writing shit down. Okay. I'm very tired. I'll start off with that. That's not the history lesson, but that's just something to say going into this. in 2015, I first played Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and I kind of knew right off the bat that I was a fan. Like, I knew that this was a game I enjoyed playing. I liked the lore and the story and the atmosphere and everything, and the gameplay. I was very bad at it, but I instantly was like, yes, I want to start paying attention to these games. This was right around when 3 was coming out. Maybe just after 3 came out. I think it was before, but I didn't end up getting 3. But once the Fnaf 4 hype started, I got right back into it, and I got Fnaf 4 like right when it came out. And I actually recorded a Let's Play of it with one of my friends from elementary school. And I launched backwards in my chair and fell on the ground because I was like, the game freaked me the fuck out, and it still freaks me out. If you watched the Fnaf 4 video I did, yeah, that game still freaks me out to this day because it's just nerve-wracking, the whole thing. And that experience of the hype for that game, for Fnaf 4, all the teasers and everything, and the speculation, that was a very fun part of my life, like just watching theory videos and going on the Scott Games website and finding the teasers and all that stuff. It was a very exciting time, and then the game came out, and I don't think I ever got past like night 2 until many years later, which, speaking of many years later, after Fnaf 4 came out, I kind of fell out of Fnaf for a while. I was getting into like the end of elementary school into middle school, and I was like starting to play other stuff. I got a Wii U, and I was like playing, games on that, and I didn't really play on my computer as much. So I say my computer, it was my mom's old Windows 7 laptop. This is what I first played Fnaf on. This is a very busted laptop. It's from 2009, I believe, and it had a HP Pavilion G6. 2 of the keys are missing. The screen's cracked. You can't really see it right now, but yeah, that's what I first played Fnaf on. So my voice cracked. So that's a very special kind of device. That's where I first started making videos too. So, well, I guess technically I started on an iPad, but that was like right afterwards. Anyway, after Fnaf 4, I fell out of Fnaf for a while. Fnaf World came out, and I was kind of interested in it. I never got it until, again, many years later. But yeah, I just didn't really think about Fnaf for a good while. And then sometime, throughout middle school and the beginning of high school, I was like, oh, Fnaf is stupid. And there's all the new games, like there was Sister Location and Fnaf 6 and Ultimate Custom coming out, and I just didn't pay attention to any of them. I wasn't interested anymore. I was like, oh, Fnaf is lame. It's, kids game, all that stuff. And then, this was maybe the end of 2020, which was a great year for everybody, right? Maybe end of 2020, beginning of 2021, one night, randomly, I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch the old Markiplier Fnaf videos just for some nostalgia. I didn't really watch those as much. Like, I didn't watch all of them when I was first into Fnaf, but I watched some of them, so I had nostalgia for them. And that one night in 2020 or whatever it was, 2021, I literally binged his Fnaf 1 to 3 playthrough in one night, and then that kind of got me thinking, okay, maybe I need to, because I never played Fnaf 1, never played 3, barely played 2 and 4, maybe got through 2 nights on each. So I was like, okay, I now have a job, and I can buy the games now, like, I can buy all the games I want. So I bought Fnaf 1 and 3, and I started playing them, and getting into them, and watching those old Markiplier playthroughs helped me get through them and know all the secrets and all that stuff. And I watched like other theory videos and all the Easter eggs in Fnaf 2 and all that stuff. I actually did find the Fnaf 2 endoskeleton Easter egg back in 2015. That was like a big moment. I might still have a screenshot of it somewhere, but I really doubt it. Not that it matters, because there's screenshots all over of that Easter egg. But yeah, I started getting back into it, and then once 2021 hit, like, I was in online school and I couldn't fucking do it. Like, I barely did any work, and I would play Ultimate Custom Night during Zoom classes and stuff, and I would just play those games, and that was like my escape from like how shitty that school year was. And that was a time when I wasn't doing well, and like I got to some pretty dark places, and I didn't really, it was a bad time, and it was nice to have something to play to get escape from that. That's what FNAF was for me. It was FNAF and Sailor Moon over there. That was my stuff that kind of just got me not thinking about school and my future and all that shit. It was a good escape, and that's why FNAF especially, and Sailor Moon, FNAF is special to me in that way, because I was just kind of a random thing. Like, I randomly got back into FNAF. So that was like, yeah, that was 2021, and then towards the end of 2021, I kind of started falling out again. I was still playing the games here and there, but I didn't really get back into it. It's like super obsessive over it until earlier this year, 2023, and it just so happened that the movie got some announcements at the end of last year, and at the beginning of this year they were filming, and I was like, okay, this is a good time to get back into it. So I started watching the Let's Plays again and all that stuff, and like getting back into it a second time. And then I find out that the movie was coming out this October, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it's coming out so soon, because that was a thing for so many years. Like, back in 2015, like end of 2015, there were talks about the movie, and there was like some announcements of like who was making it and all that stuff, and I was like, oh my god, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's movie happening. And this was when I was like 11 or 12, and it's just crazy that the movie comes out right before I turn 20, and like, I like it, I enjoyed it just as much, if not more, than I would have back if I'd seen it in 2015 or maybe 2016. It's just kind of crazy that it took that long to make it, but like, I think, as I'm going to get into finally, the movie itself, I think it was definitely worth most of the way. Still 7-8 years, like, it's a long time, but I think that it was probably the best movie they could have made with the budget they had and the source material. Like, I think they pretty much nailed it. So let's finally get into the movie. I saw it, like you saw in the footage, I saw it with a couple friends back in October, 2 months ago exactly. And it was probably the best experience I've ever had seeing a movie, period. Like, I've had a lot of great experiences in theaters, especially. I've had movies that made me emotional, movies that have made me scared, and movies that have made me laugh. But this did all of that in one. Like, this movie was like, it had funny moments, it had scares, obviously, and it made me cry a lot. There were probably I think there was 4 times I cried during this movie. And now I'd like to get into some certain parts of the movie. I'm not going to explain every scene and all that, because this video has I've already been talking a lot at this point. But like, to start off, when the movie starts and there's these opening credits with this fucking phenomenal song playing by the Newton Brothers, like, they did the soundtrack for the movie. This amazing song plays, and there's these arcade scenes that look like the mini games. I'm sorry if I'm looking over there a lot. It's kind of when I'm ranting, sometimes it's hard to look at the camera, so I'm like staring over at all my stuff on that bookshelf over there, which is where my set was before, but I'm filming over here because I didn't have my lights and stuff anyway, so I figured I would just shoot over here because I'm making a new set that you'll see soon. Anyway, sorry if I'm looking over there a lot. Yeah, it starts off with this opening cutscene with these arcade sequences that look like the mini games in the Fnaf games, like in 2 and 3, and pretty much all of them. And that's when it set in, and I saw like Scott Cawthon Productions and produced by Scott Cawthon and all that stuff, and I saw the pizzeria. Like, there's this opening sequence where an old security guard gets killed by Foxy, and it was like, that was already hype, but the opening credits with the song playing and seeing the arcade games and the pizzeria, that was when it was set in. That's when it set in that I was like, holy shit, this day is finally here. Because not only was I waiting, was everybody waiting 8 years, but like this year waiting for it specifically once they had the trailers come out, and I decided not to watch them, which I still haven't actually. Even after seeing the movie, I didn't actually watch. I think I watched some of the teasers, like the smaller ones, but I didn't see the full trailers afterwards. I saw a lot of stuff. I got spoiled for certain things, but like a good at least half of the movie, 60% of the movie, I had no idea, which was really good. But still, it was a surreal experience just being there for the movie, because like it's just one of those things that you hype up for so long, and you finally get to that moment, and you're like, oh my god, I'm actually sitting here in the theater with my friends wearing a suit with the Freddy plushie. I hope that's in frame, with a Freddy plushie, just watching this movie, and it was crazy. It was very just, and that was just the opening credits. And then, you know, there's so many references along the way. Like, they mentioned Dream Theory. They referenced Dream Theory, which was in a popular discussion in the games. Like community, not in the actual games themselves. But there was just a lot of small things that they threw in there that made the whole experience just so fucking good for the fans. And I don't care what any critics say about this movie. This is a 5-star movie for me. This is my favorite. This is my top 15 movies ever, just because of the experience I had with it, just being so into the games and seeing that as a very well done movie. Like, it was insane. Of course, there was this takes place like 20 years after the pizzeria closes. It takes place like I think the year 2000 or a little around then. And Mike Schmidt gets a job there, and you know, he has no idea what the fuck is going on, but he needs money, and this guy Steve Raglan gives him a job, which you're not supposed to know is William Afton, but they already said that Matthew Lillard was cast as William Afton, so that kind of spoiled it, but it didn't really hurt it, because it was still like, it was kind of cool knowing already the twist that he was William Afton, because I feel like it would have already been kind of obvious anyway, even if you didn't have it like confirmed. But yeah, he was all the actors were fantastic in it, but I'm very all over the place, I understand, but that's just kind of how this is going to be. He gets the job at Freddy's, and he has no idea about it, but then he gets there, and he's trying to remember like what happened to his brother, and he has these dreams where he sees his brother get taken, and he's trying to figure out who did it. And then the police officer Vanessa shows up, and she kind of seems like she knows what's happening at the pizzeria, but she doesn't really say a whole lot. She's very like, she dodges all of Mike's questions about it and stuff. And then there's this scene where the animatronics finally get fully unveiled, and it's like it's one of those scenes that you're just like, you'll remember seeing for like the rest of your life. Like, the curtains open and you just see them all, like Freddy with his microphone, Bonnie with the guitar, Chica with the cupcake, and they're singing talking in your sleep, and it's like that shit went fucking. They knew what they were fucking doing. Like you don't even see them at first. Like you see Mike's reaction, and then it shows all of them. That's the stuff, and you see Foxy as well in the Pirate Cove. Like they knew what the fuck they were doing, and it was like that was easily one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And then Bonnie like you see Bonnie like catch on like spark and like going not up in flames, but he kind of shorts out, and then that stops. But that was such a good scene because that was your first like you see like glimpses of them at the beginning, but that was your first full look at all of them, and that was just a fantastic scene. And then soon after that in the movie you get the Matt Pat cameo, which was, oh my god, the theater was, I was fortunate enough to see it in a theater like the day after it came out. It was a Saturday, and it was like packed. Like there's a lot of people, not like fully filled theater, but it was probably like 75% of the theater was full. 75% of it was full, and it was that made it so much better because I also saw it. I've seen it 3 times now. I saw it twice in the theater and once on Peacock. The second time I saw it in the theater, this was around Thanksgiving. There was like, I mean, we saw it at like 11 p.m. to be fair, but there was like 2 other people in the theater. But I'm so glad that the first viewing I saw it with a bunch of people, because that made it like when the Matt Pat cameo happens, everybody was like that. I got that spoiled for me. I got the just the fact that he was in it. Like I saw a picture of him in it. That's all I got spoiled. But the reaction was just like what you see in those like theater reaction videos on YouTube, like for Marvel movies or for like this movie. Like I've watched a bunch of those, or like Star Wars and stuff like that. The reaction was amazing. Like everyone was like yo and clapping and all that shit, and then he goes, you know, it's just a theory. And I had no idea he actually said that. I didn't think he was going to. I thought that was something that they wouldn't do. But he does, and everybody was fucking screaming. Like, it was the best fucking moment. And then, like, you couldn't even hear the next dialogue where they're in the cafe. You couldn't even hear that shit. Because we were all still screaming for, like, 20 seconds after he walks away. But yeah, it's like shit like that is like, you gotta look at that as like, that is entertaining to a lot of people. I don't care about how good it is critically, how objectively good it is, all that shit. Like, that shit can fuck off, because like this was an experience, the Fnaf movie experience, if you will. That's the title of the video. I don't know if you saw that. It was an experience, and I hope that going forward, movie critics can just calm the fuck down and just realize like, hey, was this an entertaining movie? Yes. Was this like a well-made movie? Yes, because this movie was well-made. It had good, amazing sets. The animatronics were fucking amazing. They looked exactly how you'd want them to look, and Jim Henson Creature Shop was working on them, so you know that they did it. You knew that they were going to do a good job once you heard about that. It's like, how can you give the movie like a 1 star when it's like very well-made, and it had a $15 million budget when most movies now have like $150 million plus budgets? Like, how can you? I just don't get how you can give it such a shitty review when it's like so well made, and there's a lot of entertainment value to it. I don't know. Whatever. People can say what they say. I still say it's one of my top 15 movies ever. But yeah, that Matt Pat moment, that's one of those things that makes me think like, yeah, this movie was fucking, it was amazing. Like, you can't you can't say that this shit was bad. Like, I don't get it. It delivered exactly what the fans wanted. And if you're a FNAF fan who didn't like the movie, you probably expected too much of it. Like, I think a lot of FNAF fans thought that they were going to include way more of the lore in it. But they didn't realize, like, people didn't realize, like, some people didn't realize, like, this is the first of these movies, because they're almost definitely making another one and probably 2 more. It's probably going to be a trilogy. Like, they can't just throw all the fucking game lore into the one movie and expect that to do well, because it's like, it would be long as shit, and this movie's already just about 2 hours, which I think is like just as long as it should have been. Like, some of that, I've seen some of that, like, FNAF fans that wanted more of the lore. You had the necessary stuff. You had William Afton in the spring Bonnie suit killing kids, and they possess the animatronics. You have Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy. You even have Balloon Boy in there as like a little ongoing joke, the little figure of him. It's like you have the necessary stuff. So anyway, yeah, most FNAF fans I think were covered with this fucking movie. Like if you like FNAF, you like this movie pretty much. Trying to think other scenes that like there was Corey Kenshin's scene in the taxi with Golden Freddy. That was amazing. I don't even watch Corey Kenshin. He's not somebody I've ever really watched on YouTube, but I like that guy. He's entertaining, and I loved his role in the movie. How he actually like him and Matt Pat both like had very short scenes, but they actually like talked. I was kind of worried that their cameos would just be like you'd see them or they'd have like one line, but they each had a couple lines, which I liked. And yeah, I guess next I want to talk about the scene where I'm assuming that most people have seen the movie if you're watching this video, so I'm not going to worry about spoilers or people not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about, because like a lot of people have seen the movie at this point since it's been out for 2 months and it's now on. I was going to wait to show this, but now that it's on physical media, I feel like most people have seen it. I still have to watch this. I'm very excited because I got a soundbar and I got the 4K TV, and it's going to be like, way less compression than watching it on streaming. So I'm excited to watch this, but I'll save that for another night to watch that. But now that it's on physical media and it's been out for 2 months, I feel like most people have seen it. So I'm not going to worry about spoilers or, again, people just me mentioning scenes and people being like, what are you talking about? The scene where the animatronics kill the thugs that break in, like, that was really where that was like the only killing that happened in the movie, and I thought it was great. I thought it was like, I didn't expect. I guess I expected them to kill people, but like, I didn't think it was gonna be quite as like brutal, because like, you see the cupcake maul a guy's face off. Basically, you see Bonnie like beating a guy against the wall and blood hitting against the door and blood hitting the door. You see Foxy chase after 3 people, kill 2 of them, almost kill Mike. You see a girl get fucking chomped in half by Freddy. I still can't believe that to this day that fucking happened. Like, I know that they can get away with that because they didn't really show any blood there, but this movie's PG-13. I can't believe they got away. You can get away with. They cursed a couple times. There was blood. There was, a story about kids being killed. There was a girl getting ripped in half. Just kind of crazy to me that the guy, and you see the guy with his face all chewed up later by the cupcake, and you see their dead bodies in the suits, and it's like, damn, they must have been really pushing it with the PG-13. I mean, I don't care. That means more people get to see it. So, and a lot of FNAF fans are under 17 anyway, so I'm totally fine with, like, if the movie had come out exactly as it was now back in 2015 or 16, if it was rated R, I wouldn't have been able to see it. So I'm totally fine with it being PG-13. It's just I can't believe that they got away with what they did. I'm glad they did, but it's that girl got ripped in half. Like, what the fuck? That was surprisingly nobody in my theater said it was at the Bite of 87. I saw other theaters, people said that. Nobody in my theater said that, unless I wasn't paying attention and I was just in shock from what the fuck I just saw. Yeah, other scenes that, like, there's a lot of other shit that happened. There was, like, William Afton's, like, reveal where Vanessa reveals that he's her father, which was, like, that surprised me. Obviously, we all knew it was, like, William Afton was the Yellow Rabbit. We all knew that, but I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Vanessa to be his daughter. Like, it was a good twist. And it helped because, obviously, the twist of William Afton being Steve Raglan was not very well hidden at all. So, it was kind of good that they had another twist to kind of, like, back that up. And then, I don't want to forget anything. like was because I want to just get to the end basically. Like, yeah, they had a lot of, you know, good dialogue. Again, the actors were amazing. I loved how they cast it, and they didn't have like these big celebrities really. They had known actors, but not like your Robert Downey Jr.'s and your Samuel L. Jacksons and your fucking Margot Robbies and all like the really famous people. Like, obviously with their budget they couldn't afford that, but I'm fine with that basically, because it means like it's easier to view these characters as the characters than to view them, because if you watch like any movie with Samuel L. Jackson or like Robert De Niro or whatever, you think like, oh, that's Robert De Niro, that's Samuel L. Jackson. But this movie, you view them more as the characters, which I like. That's a good way to do an adaptation of something, because like, I mean, I guess the Marvel movies are all adaptations of comic books and stuff, but most people seeing the Marvel movies haven't read the comics, so like, which is no problem. It's just like that's a different. I feel like it's a different thing. But I like that they picked like not the high tier actors for this movie. I think that was a good choice, because it saved them a hell of a lot of money, and it means that since they had a lower budget and the movie made so much money, it made like 20 times its budget or something crazy. They're definitely gonna do another one, unless for some reason they don't. I don't know why they wouldn't. Like, people are gonna see it. You might not make quite as much, but people will definitely see it, especially because they teased at the end of the first movie with the puppet song playing in the credits. There's definitely gonna be another one, and they show that William Afton was still dying in the back room at the end. I guess I should talk about that now. That scene where Spring Bonnie comes into the pizzeria, and he takes his mask off, and you see that it's Steve Raglan, and you're like, oh, I had no fucking idea. Everybody did, but like everybody knew that, but it was still a cool moment, and it was like nice finally seeing like a face. Like, obviously, like, you see him in the books and stuff, but seeing like a face to William Afton and a voice and all that stuff all in one, like, because you hear his voice in the games a couple times, you see him in the books a little bit, but seeing like a full acted performance was like, that was something that was surreal. Like, seeing Mike Schmidt we know nothing about in the game, so it's like that's not as like crazy seeing, but William Afton's like the villain, and it's crazy to see him in a proper acted performance. So, and Matthew Lillard did a great job as William Afton. Like, that was a very good. When I first heard about that, I was like, I didn't really think it was a great choice, but now looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was a good decision to cast him and Josh Hutcherson and all the other actors. Like, they did a good job with that. But yeah, he comes out and he takes his mask off, and he one thing leads to another. He's like saying that he created the animatronics and they're loyal to me, but then Abby draws a picture and shows them that he is the bad guy. He's the Fnaf. He's the man behind the slaughter. And then the animatronics turn on him, and then the cupcake jumps at him, and then the spring lock goes in. And that was something that I didn't expect. I didn't really expect them to do a spring lock scene, but they did. It wasn't super violent, which I think was the right call, because you don't need to see him bleeding out on the ground and screaming like all these like these fan made ones do. You don't need to see that. That's not the point. Like, it's a brutal thing that happens, but that's not the important part. The important part is he fucking gets killed in there, and then he drops the "I always come back" line, which was fuck. That was another moment where people were screaming. Like, that was a fucking. He said it really well too. Like, the way he said it was perfect, and he says it as he's putting his mask back on. I don't know I guess it's a mask, like the whole Bonnie head, but. And then he starts he keeps getting hit by the spring locks, and then they drag him to the back room, which was perfect. And overall, it was nice that the animatronics had personality. Like, you kind of feel like they're actually kids possessing animatronics, and the way they turn on him and they look at him and all that stuff, like it gave life to them, which was something that never really happened much in the games. But yeah, they drag him out and then he gets put in the back room, all that. But for some reason, the critics, these damn critics, keep not even just critics, like just people in general criticize like the scene where they build a fort in the pizzeria when Abby's there, because Abby, like, the animatronics like Abby because she's young, because she's a kid like they are, and the people criticize that shit. But like, that was like I was crying at that part. I was like, oh my fucking god, this is amazing. I didn't think that this movie would be this. I didn't think it would have these like kind of wholesome moments, but it did. And I loved that fucking scene that everyone's like, oh, this is stupid, this is a fucking horror movie. It's like, it's not really meant to be a horror movie in the sense that it's just nonstop scares and gore and all that stuff, because that's not what the games were. It was about a terrifying story that is told in a very unique way, and it was like a good idea for the movie to not just load it with, you know, death and like there was people dying, there was jump scares, there was all that stuff, but they didn't do too much of it. And unfortunately, that's just how they had to advertise it. They had to advertise it as a horror movie, like with Blumhouse and everything, because that's the only way they would have made a lot of money off of it, I feel like, because that's how you get the non-FNAF people into it, because you're like, oh, it's a new horror movie that came out about killer robots, like, that's cool. And then they go see it, and they're like, oh, what the fuck, there's a scene where they built a fort, like, what what the hell am I watching? But it's like, you can't, if you look at it in the right way, it's like, it's not bad. I love that scene. And again, it was nice that the animatronics like acted like kids that were possessing these robots and not just like lifeless machines, because they're not lifeless. They have people possessing them, which is something that, again, in the games you don't really see that. You see like them on the cameras, and they might be looking at the camera, or they might behave in certain ways to make you see that they're human, but a lot of the time it just feels like they are just animatronics that are trying to kill you, which they didn't. They did it well in this movie. They did it very well, and I don't fucking care what anybody says. Like, they did a good job with that, and I like that they built a fort in the pizzeria. That was great. That was a great scene. But I should talk about the part that made me cry the most, and the part that will forever live, the part that will always live in my memory, is when the credits start rolling. You see William Afton in the back room, and the kid possessing Golden Freddy is standing there watching him die, and he closes the door, and it's silent for a couple seconds, and then you hear the Living Tombstone Five Nights at Freddy's song start playing, which I did get spoiled because there was that video that came out of people fighting in the theater. People fighting in the theater at the movie. I don't know why that happened, but I watched that, and I could hear, it was during the credits, and I could hear the song playing vaguely on the screen. I'm like, okay. I kind of figured they would have the song, but still, that moment of just the movie is done, and I just finally watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and they included like the most iconic song for Five Nights at Freddy's as the credits. Like, that was the moment where I'm like, this was what I wanted it to be. This is the only way they could have done this movie, and they did it perfectly. And again, that moment where I'm just sitting there and I'm watching it, and then it goes silent, and then you hear dun 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 dun, and I not even just like, oh, I teared up a little bit and I was like clapping. Like, no, I was like, it's like somebody, like a family member just died or something. Like, I was like ugly crying during that moment for like a good couple minutes. And again, that was like an experience I will never forget. And then we walked out of the theater, and we watched the whole credits, obviously, and there was the mid-credit scene with Corey Kenshin and the little balloon boy figure where he gets scared by him, and that was great. I'm glad they did that. And then there's the tease at the end for FNAF 2. There was the puppet, there was the music box playing, and then there was the letters read out, like in the FNAF 2 mini games, like the Save Them mini game, and it said, I forget what it said. I tried to listen to it in the theater, but I couldn't. Like, I could barely tell what it said. I think it said "Come find me," hinting that Garrett is asking Mike to come find him, Garrett is the puppet. That's what I think that's what people are kind of thinking, and I'm fine with that idea, because it seems like Garrett was the first kid killed, and in the games, Henry's daughter was the first one killed, and then she's the puppet. And I don't think in the movie lore Henry exists, because they say that, like, they only mention the person who created Freddy Fazbear's. They don't ever mention, like, Henry. So unless he comes in the second movie, I think Garrett's gonna be the puppet, which is, again, I'm totally fine with that. That's a cool idea. And I like that they're doing their own, like, they're taking the game lore and making some pretty new out of it. Like, there's a lot of the same characters and stuff, but it's very distinctly the movie lore and then the game lore. Like, they're different, but, like, the key things are still there, and I think that was the right way to go. Because if they just took the game lore and made a movie out of it, it would have been kind of a mess, because the game lore is kind of all over the place. So it's good that they just kind of started from scratch in a way, made their own thing, and I'm excited to see where it goes going forward. So I think that's finally, I don't know how long it's been recording for. What time is it? I think I've been recording for like 40 minutes or so, maybe a lot less than that. But that's basically all I wanted to say about the FNAF movie. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been so long since I saw it that the Blu-ray's already come out, and I also got a poster that I'm gonna replace that one you've seen in my old set. I'm gonna move that one up to the new set, and I'm gonna put this one in my room here. I can't really show you because it's still rolled up, but I'll put a picture on screen of what the poster looks like just so you can get a refresher. Ignore the fact that I just showed you the Blu-ray. No, that's what the poster actually looks like. So that's it for the FNAF movie experience. That's it for FNAF week. Even though this came out 2 months after the other videos, it's okay. It's fine. It's all. I just said, as long as it comes out by the end of the year and I can just get this out, talk about this movie, that's all I care about. So I want to say thank you guys for watching the videos this year, watching the FNAF week, all that stuff. Thank you for watching this if you made it till the end somehow. And stay tuned. I believe this video is coming out before. I have 2 more videos coming out in this last week of the year, but I'm pretty sure this one's coming out first. So 2 more videos after this. Three videos in December, basically. So look forward to those. And I will see you guys in the next video for something different.